4 islands, 4 races, 4 different civilizations, in an experiment to determine which race will reign supreme and which civilization will rule over the world. This was the plan for the original story. However, this is a different kind of story. This is a story of great adventure, secret missions, friendships, and ultimate betrayal. This is the Great Races Experiment Untold story. This is the story of the Crypt. But before we get to the heart of the story, we have to go back to the beginning. More specifically, about 2 weeks before the Great Races Experiment was launched. To give a bit of a backstory, while applying for a position in the Great Races Experiment, I chose to be part of the Undying race, since, at the time, it seemed to be the most disadvantaged one out of the 4. Just like any hostile undead creature in Minecraft, the Undying would burn in sunlight unless invisible. And with the undead island being a nether waste with scarce resources, getting a carrot for invisibility potions was out of the question until much later in the experiment. The Undying were unable to wear any piece of armor unless it was cursed, with either a curse of binding or curse of vanishing enchantment, leaving them exposed and vulnerable not only to the sun, but to any attackers. All these factors made the Undying race a very unpopular pick, therefore increasing my chances of joining the experiment, which thankfully I did. Fast forward to a week before the launch of the event, a few Undying members decided to create a Discord server and get everyone from the Undying race to join it. Once every Undying member was in it, it was decided amongst a few members that there will be no singular leader of the Undying race, and that the Undying will be led by a council instead. In a very quick and unorganized manner, an election was brought up to choose the members of the council. Candidates weren't taken seriously, votes were counted wrong, and only a third of the whole Undying race got a chance to vote before voting was closed. At the time, it almost seemed like the very few Undying members who were in charge of the server simply chose their favorites for council positions. Being very unhappy with how the election was staged, I began messaging other Undying members in private who also expressed their discontent with the election. And upon doing so, I came across a few other members who were doing the exact same thing as myself. We then decided to form a group that will not follow the council's orders. An organization that will work in silence behind the scenes, shaping the world in a way that we want to see, by ways of mass manipulation and string pulling. This was the birth of the Crypt. With the problem at hand still at large, we decided to contact almost every member of the Undying race in private, sway them against the council and lobby for a re-election, with promises of uniting the entire race and regaining the trust in a new council that was lost in the first election. Rumblings of our doings made their way to the council members, who were pressured by us into having a new election. This time, in a much more organized manner, where candidates got to submit their bids. Each were given appropriate time for speeches, which were recorded and available for viewing for the members that weren't able to attend the meeting, and voting was open for 16 hours so that the majority of the Undying race would be able to submit their votes. Thanks to the re-election, the council went from 6 members down to 5, with 3 members keeping their council position and the 2 new members winning a seat on council. The 3 council members that lost their seats were Luxera, Spooks, and Xmorphical, with Xmorphical being someone who I want to give a huge shout out to for helping me with the making of this particular video, providing me with multiple replay files captured from his side of the playthrough. Highly recommend subscribing to his channel, as he will also be making a video of his own version of the story from his own perspective, so be on the lookout for that. With the launch of the event approaching, the Crypt was able to recruit more members, most notably the aforementioned Luxera, who still had major pull with the current Undying Council, and Zen, also known as False Hacker, who was a tremendous fighter and diplomat, respected and feared amongst all 4 races. On the day of launch, I was invited to join another secret organization of mercenaries, which both Luxera and Zen were also part of. The group was called the Null Coalition, founded by Killcard, consisting of the following members, including the aforementioned old council member Xmorphical. Killcard himself was directly allied with the Mongolians from the first season of the Great Race Experiment, including 2 very specific members. Personally, I was not aware of the Null and Mongolians alliance, and accepted the bid to join the organization, thinking that being part of 2 separate secret organizations would help me achieve some personal goals that I had set for myself during this Great Races Experiment, with the main one being the elimination, direct or indirect, of the 2 most important members of the Mongolians faction, Poison King and Bean. This conflicting dynamic of 2 secret organizations being allied with each other while at the same time being unaware that they're each other's direct enemy set up a narrative for the remainder of the season, with unavoidable consequences leading to the downfall of both groups. This is where the story begins. Leading up to day 1, the newly elected council tried their best at organizing the entire Undying race, giving everyone the choice of 1 out of the 5 following jobs: mining, building, food gathering, fishing for enchantments, and scouting the island. Thanks to the information that was given to us in the days leading up to day 1, we knew that the Undying Island had a large nether fortress located somewhere in the middle of the island, containing some pretty valuable loot, specifically curse books. And along with it, the nether fortress was also the only place in the entire world where you could get your hands on blaze rods. Knowing that the Undying race would be the only race with access to potions in the early stages of the event, we as the Crypt took it upon ourselves to practice potion PvP prior to day 1, relying on it as our main attack and defense strategy. Therefore, seizing the nether fortress on day 1 was the Crypt's main objective. In order to avoid suspicion, we made sure that we have at least 1 member of the Crypt in every job category, while I took it upon myself to join the scouts and be the first person to find and explore the nether fortress. As much as the council would have wanted the Undying race to stick to their assigned jobs, day 1 was quite the hectic experience for a lot of the Undying members, mainly because everyone tried to get as many materials for themselves as possible, before they were just simply left out without anything, just standing there and burning in the sun. Once the initial chaos and excitement subdued, people made their way underground, into the caves, where they regrouped and reflected, quickly realizing that the main source of acquiring enchantments, which was through fishing, wasn't quite as possible as some would think, due to the string deficit at the Undying Island. However, since the Undying Island was a nether island, which spawned nether mobs, we quickly realized that there is a high possibility of striders spawning at the nearby lava lakes. Realizing that water was our greatest friend, we quickly acquired water buckets and went on to kill as many striders as possible to harvest strings.
I don't know. Just
Kill.
Okay, grab the string.
Yep.
The game is lagging super hard.
Don't let it
I'm
fall.
very
Don't
scared.
let it fall.
Yeah.
Don't let it fall. Oh no!
There,
I got it.
there. Yep.
I got it. We're good.
Sweet.
We're good.
You got 2 strings?
David, you even forgot to let me
Yeah,
a shield.
I got 5 string.
Once that was done, we supplied our fishers with fishing rods, and since it was night at the time, we set out to explore the island while we still could. In the meantime, Ultimate Demon had an encounter with a witch, quickly realizing that poison and harming effects don't affect the Undying in any way, cementing how crucial potion PvP is to our race, making the discovery of the Nether Fortress and the acquisition of blaze rods the top priority of the crypt. While out scouting, I came across another Undying member who was also trying to get strings from Striders, so we decided to team up and kill as many Striders as possible while exploring the large lava lake that we found. While the extermination of Striders wasn't as successful as we wanted it to be. Strider! Oh no! Come up! No! Traveling through the lava lake allowed us to finally discover the Nether Fortress. Holy
This lava
shit!
lake does not look like it's ending anytime soon.
It's not ending. We went through like half the island and it's just lava. Fortress! We're going.
Loot it. It's fine. I have zombie.
We're going.
Is over here. So
Holy shit!
You're so
I won't kill them.
close!
Let's go!
So who's there? Who's there?
Oh my god, there it
Who's
is!
there?
It's huge! Holy sh! Being the first ones at the fortress, we quickly looted the lower levels of the fortress and shared our coordinates with the other members of the crypt. By nightfall, NC Archie, Luxera, my new friend, and myself were all able to loot the fortress in its entirety, being the first ones out of the entire Undying race to get our hands on curse books. Not only that, we were now also the only ones in the entire world in possession of blaze rods. Operation Nether Fortress was a great success. This concluded day 1. Day 2 was a much calmer and less eventful day, at least in the beginning. We decided to stay at the Nether Fortress to farm more blaze rods, but quickly realized that we can only do so at night, since that's when the blazes would spawn. To pass the time more efficiently, we figured it would be a good idea to fish until nightfall, getting food and potentially more enchanted books. So we set up a fishing platform at the very top of the Nether Fortress, right below the blaze spawner, and spent the rest of the day there. While fishing, we noticed something peculiar about the spawner.
There's
Let's-
barriers around the spawner.
No, people are calling you hot, Fluffy. You just burned.
Oh yeah, there are barriers. Yeah,
Wait.
I see.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
come on, fish.
Are we sure this is why they're not
Bro,
spawning?
I thought you said berries, and I was like, okay.
No, I don't think that's why they're not spawning. I think it's made so that we can't put torches or break it. We can't break it. Shit! I just realized. There were invisible barrier blocks on every corner of the spawner, meaning it could not be broken. This derailed our plans a little bit, since our whole idea for the event was to be in control of everything potion related, being the only group in possession of blaze rods, and therefore potions on the whole server. Our plan was to farm as many blaze rods as possible, break the spawner, and leave the fortress. But since we couldn't do that anymore, we decided to farm as many blaze rods as we could for ourselves, and then share the coordinates of the Nether Fortress with the Undying Council, building trust with them so that they don't suspect us of anything while we do our scheming behind the scenes. As nightfall approached, so did the blazes.
What are you on?
Blazes!
It's spawning!
Getting a bit too excited, we all started hacking and slashing left and right. In the midst of the chaos, I was the first one to open death's door.
I just need that to heal. Okay. Okay.
Oh, yo, don't hit me! Yo, I got the totem effect because one of you guys hit me with a sword.
Oh, shit.
That's not. It's cool.
I'll give you
Wait,
some more.
who?
Okay.
I have, like,
Thank you.
3 bars of health right now. While it was dangerous, it made us realize just how powerful we are as Undying, getting 20 extra hearts as per the Absorption 10 effect, as well as fire resistance, which both lasted for a whole minute. Not only that, the revive effect had a cooldown of 5 minutes, meaning the Undying had unlimited revives per every 5-minute interval. To stay on the safer side of things, we decided to let one person deal with the blazes while the rest would continue fishing to avoid killing each other accidentally. Right before dawn, we decided to meet up with the other members of the crypt, who have been busy stacking up on food and netherite. We agreed that we would meet at the main Undying base, where we would share our resources, as well as check what other resources the rest of the Undying were able to get their hands on, to see if we could steal anything for ourselves. While the Undying base had plenty of useful resources, there weren't any that were hard to come by, or that we didn't already have. Apart from one thing: sugarcanes. Being extremely important for both potion making and books, we decided to stick around the sugarcane farm for a bit, wait for some to grow so that we could steal some without raising any suspicion. Once we had enough sugarcanes for our own farm, we decided to leave the Undying base as soon as possible, just because of how unbearably loud it was.
Did I take someone's fish?
Why is it like Absalom
Did
here?
I take someone's fish? Help me.
Focusing on mining for diamonds for the remainder of Day 2, we were able to somewhat stay out of the conflict that was brewing at the Undying base. Well, at least the most of us. Apparently, the old council member Spooks, who lost his seat on council thanks to the re-election, was planning a revolution against the council, publicly stating that he wants to overthrow the current Undying council, and that everyone who was against the council should join him. For reasons that only became clear after the conclusion of Day 2, Spooks was bitter at the fact that he lost his seat on council, and that the current Undying council, mainly Speed Demon, allegedly made fun of him for losing the election. Therefore, Spooks decided to attack Speed Demon, but was unsuccessful in killing him and had to retreat. While he promised to stay out of the council's way and live in seclusion for the rest of the event, Spooks' betrayal did not go unpunished, as it set up quite an interesting sequence of events for Day 3. Thanks to Spooks' betrayal, both Null and the Crypt decided to join forces and take him out for good. However, Null and the Crypt were not the only organizations that wanted Spooks dead. Apparently, Triagami has employed Zen to be his personal bodyguard, and on behalf of the entire Undying Council, ordered a hit on Spooks as well. Without even knowing it, Spooks became hunted down ever since the start of Day 3, and upon his return to base, he was met by members of both Null and the Crypt. The hit was successful. Spooks was no more. Meanwhile, the other members of the Crypt had a quick trip back to the Nether Fortress to collect a few valuable resources that could only be found there at the time, such as mushrooms, obsidian, sand, and coal blocks. In the meantime, some Undying members were able to find and capture a zombie villager and bring him to the main Undying base. This was a huge deal, since now, through villager trading, the entire Undying race could get their hands on curse books. Unfortunately, curing the zombie villager was not possible at that point in time, because it required a splash potion of weakness and a golden apple. While the splash potion of weakness was possible to obtain, the apple was not, since you couldn't find any oak trees on the Undying Island, and the island borders were still closed. It was time for the crypt to have their own main base of operations, agreeing that it would be in our best interests to stay somewhere close to the main Undying base, but out of sight just enough so that we don't get detected. We decided to set up base just off the shore of the southernmost part of the Undying Island, in an underwater cave. The remainder of day 3 was spent fleshing out our base, until we got a very interesting message from one of our members, who was at the main Undying base.
So do you want to be here for the villager or not? Because they have the villager.
It's okay, leave the villager for now because they need golden apples to cure him.
Well, they have apples.
They have apples.
Do they?
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm
they
looking at them right
We
now.
got a sapling, we got a sapling, we got a sapling.
This piqued my interest, so I decided to travel to the main Undying base to see it for myself.
Matez, what's happening here? Give me some intel. Matez, what's happening
Hey,
here?
black bear. We got trees.
How? How?
I don't know.
Colors.
No
Admin fiat.
Colors.
Alright, in that case.
Apparently, the moderators of the event were very impressed with how the Undying race was able to capture a zombie villager, and decided to help out by supplying them with oak saplings. This was crucial for the Undying race, since now the zombie villager could be cured, and the entire Undying race can get fully geared up, right on time for when the borders drop on day 4. Day 4 was the day when all borders dropped, and players could now travel freely to other islands and interact with other races. Both Null and the Crypt had already pre-made plans for Day 4. Null, including Luxera, were going to travel to the Human Island to raid the Human Republic, while Zen would take on a solo mission and travel to the Arachnid Island for diplomatic purposes. The remainder of the Crypt had more pressing matters to attend to. Ever since the zombie villager got cured, the entire Undying race were too busy gathering resources to trade with the villager for curse books, focusing mainly on getting most of the Undying race fully geared up in Netherite before the Undying Island gets invaded by other races. This meant that the Nether Fortress was completely void of any players, and the Crypt decided to capitalize on the opportunity. The thing is, in preparation for Day 4, Ultimate Demon was able to figure out a way to destroy the Blaze Spawner, even with the invisible barrier blocks around it. The only thing he needed for it was one block of TNT. Unfortunately, we were short on gunpowder at the time, so we couldn't destroy the spawner just yet, but it did mean that our original plan for this event was back on track. Since the borders would only drop after 1 hour into Day 4, everyone needed a concrete plan as to what each person would be doing. Ultimate Demon and Kinarana traveled to the Nether Fortress, and were focusing on building a blaze farm, trying to maximize the amount of blaze rods that they could get, before we destroy the spawner, while the rest of us were focusing on getting as much netherite as possible, as well as trying to obtain curse books from the Undying Council, who were now in charge of the cured villager. The thing that we did not expect while trading at the main Undying base is to be betrayed by one of our own.
Yo!
What the hell?
Yo! What are you doing?
Yo, why is this guy killing us?
A player named Lozenge, already fully geared up in netherite, decided to blatantly attack us out of nowhere. Since we were surrounded by other Undying members, I called out for help. Null were the first ones at the scene, and surrounded Lozenge. In an attempt to defuse the situation, Kilcar tried to have a peaceful conversation with Lozenge, giving him a chance to explain his actions. After a lot of retaliating, Lozenge finally explained that he thought we were the ones who stole the netherite from his furnaces. This seemed like a pretty flimsy excuse to me, since neither myself nor Fluffy were near Lozenge or his furnaces, as he simply approached us and started attacking. While Noel decided to let him go, the Crypt weren't so quick to forgive and forget, as we decided to stick around the main Undying base for a bit longer and keep our eye on Lozenge. And it was good that we did.
Oh!
Gotta be prepared.
Guys, zombie villagers, dead. Somebody killed zombie villager.
What?
Zombie villagers, dead. Somebody killed zombie villager.
What?
I'm gonna rage.
Are you kidding me?
NC Archie was able to capture Lozenge in the act, as he attacked and killed the only hope that the Undying had in obtaining curse books. Not only that, it was later determined that Lozenge was apparently hacking too. The Crypt took full responsibility in taking care of this issue, as Zen made quick work of Lozenge, taking him out for good.
The lost
Someone died.
Yeah, the hacker.
Oh, Lozenge was slain by false hacker.
Oh, yeah.
Good job,
Yeah,
Zen! Let's go, Zen! Let's go!
In the meantime, at the Nether Fortress, Ultimate Demon finished building the Blaze Farm and was able to obtain over a stack of blaze rods. The only thing left was to destroy the spawner, before the fortress gets invaded by other races. And just before the end of day 4, I was able to find the remaining gunpowder needed to craft 1 block of TNT. Now, it was a race against time, laying out the groundworks for Operation Bomb Squad on day 5. The Crypt had a few very concrete objectives for day 5. First, collect all valuables from our hidden base and head to the Nether Fortress to supply Ultimate Demon with gunpowder. Second, blow up the spawner. And third, seek refuge at the Arachnid Island, thanks to Zen's diplomatic mission there on the previous day. According to Zen, the Arachnids were probably the most organized and the most thriving civilization in terms of infrastructure, having built up proper defenses. Additionally, the Arachnid Island, in and of itself, was very hard to navigate thanks to its steep terrain, providing even more natural defenses. Not only that, the entire island was covered in lush caves beneath the canyons, providing the Undying with a great place to live, hidden and protected from the sun, with plenty of resources. This was the plan behind Operation Bomb Squad.
Great, now there's way more of them.
Yo, guys, be careful.
Alright, it's no longer fine.
I hear so many.
I probably need better food. I'm like on half of my hearts right now.
Here. Ultimate here.
Oh, let's see, where can I get rid of my inventory torches?
Archie, do you need food?
Yes.
Thank
Here.
you.
Some food as well. Here,
you.
Archie. I gave him
Thank you.
Hikaru was
Worship
nice enough to
me
give me
for
some
this.
food.
Alright, let's do this. I'm just gonna do this as quickly as I can,
Let's
okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
Take our time, though. It's destroyed. It's destroyed.
It worked?
Destroyed? Yo, let's go. Let's go. Guys,
get out.
let's go.
With the spawner destroyed, the Crypt would head north, across the fortress bridge, towards the Arachnid Island, collecting more ancient debris on the way. Upon reaching the Arachnid Island, we decided to set up camp in a coastal cave on the southern shore of the island, and wait out the remainder of day 5 there. Thanks to the secrecy of the operation, no one knew that the Crypt were now in possession of all the blaze rods on the entire server, or that the blaze spawner was destroyed. And at the end of day 5, the crypt would find themselves trapped on foreign land, in potentially hostile territory. I knew I had to do something in order to ensure the safety of the crypt and all of its members. Therefore, prior to day 6, I went out of my way to contact one of the Arachnid leaders, Almighty, to strike up a deal she cannot refuse, explaining that we come to the Arachnid island to expand on our potion trade thanks to the island's vast resources. I offered to cure the zombie villagers that the Arachnids had captured in their main base. This way, we will be able to supply the Arachnids not only with potions, but also enchanted books, and all that we want in return is a place to stay. Not knowing that the blaze spawner was now destroyed, Almighty refused my offer, thinking that they could handle the villagers' situation on their own. Instead, her counteroffer was for us to supply them with netherite, and since we had no other options, I agreed on behalf of the crypt. Immediately after the conversation with Almighty, I was contacted by Ayo, who told me that he was in charge of the Arachnid elite fighters, and they were the ones who would be receiving our netherite. He provided me with the coordinates to the Arachnid base, where he would meet me, in person, to collect the netherite. Additionally, he told me to come as quickly as possible, since they're expecting an invasion from the human island, and want to be properly equipped in time. Collectively, the crypt had way more netherite than the Arachnids requested from us. However, we were only willing to spare half of the agreed upon amount, since we needed the remainder for ourselves. Therefore, the crypt decided to split up as day 6 rolled in. While I traveled to the Arachnid base to secure a diplomatic alliance, Fluffy Sapphire and Ultimate Demon would go back to the northern shores of the Undying Island and collect more ancient debris for the Arachnids. And in the meantime, NC Archie and Hikaru would travel all the way back to the main Undying base to collect more curse books for the crypt, since the Undying somehow captured yet another zombie villager and already managed to cure him. Knowing that I'm walking into a literal spider den, alone and with no armor, I called upon Luxera, who agreed to meet me at the main Arachnid base to make sure that everything goes smoothly. Rushing to the Arachnid base, I was able to make it to the main wall right before sunrise. The Arachnids were very helpful in accommodating to my undying condition, quickly building a platform on top of me, as well as making a path for me to use so that I could enter their base. While they were doing so, I overheard them talking about how some of their scouts saw a large group of Undying in full netherite making their way to their island.
Just gonna let you guys know, like, the entirety of the Undying army is coming to kill us. Trigger, Nami, and stuff are all rushing us. They just want kills. They are on our island.
The Arachnids were about to be invaded not only by the humans, but by the Undying as well, while I would find myself to be right in the middle of it all. After supplying Ayo with the netherite, I knew I had to act quick. I knew that I had to secure this diplomatic alliance and do something that would prevent the rest of the Undying from slaughtering all of the Arachnids. And so, with the help of Luxera, we did what we knew how to do better than anyone on the entire server. Taking over an innocent Arachnid's house and turning it into a drug den.
How do I get up there?
This is kind of like my house, so...
Don't come up here. We're brewing, so if you could just, like, you know... You can't be in the drug den, okay?
Do you guys have children in here? I need some.
Well, that's my cue to leave.
While it may be all fun and jokes, this was done for a reason. The Undying race needed to see a purpose to keep the Arachnids alive, and what better purpose than a villager that trades protection for books. The Undying army arrived at the main Arachnid base right as we were in the middle of curing the zombie villager, and when they saw 2 other Undying members already at the Arachnid base, they realized that there were bigger plans at stake. so they decided to stick around and see them through, making friends with the Arachnids in the meantime. The human invasion that was apparently supposed to happen was from the side of Poison King and Bean's group, no longer called the Mongolians, but instead COK, an acronym which I will not explain the meaning of for various reasons. COK decided not to send their entire team in just yet, only sending Sumoku, also known as Whiscash, to investigate, knowing that he won't get instantly killed since he's a moderator on the race's server. While Lexera was trying to get the villager to trade Protection 4 books, I was going around and asking the Arachnids that were there at the time for some valuable resources that only they could provide, such as spider eyes. While this was happening, Almighty arrived at the main base and we were finally able to formally introduce ourselves to one another. And in the midst of the conversation, I brought up the topic of spider spawners and spider eyes. To my surprise, Almighty said that they weren't really collecting any spider eyes and that they don't have any spawners. The reason why this was a surprise to me is because on the previous day, I spotted Almighty deep within the caves on the southern shore of the island, exploring some loot stash with Tigrag, and then watched her destroy their spider spawner. Knowing that she wouldn't just be destroying spider spawners unless there were more or she had a way of creating them, her telling me that there are no more spider spawners on the island sounded like a blatant lie. And if their leader is not to be trusted, neither is the race. This made me realize that in order to secure our safety, the crypt cannot rely on anyone else other than each other, let alone a different race. This meant that it was finally time to build the crypt itself, somewhere off the grid where no one could find us. But before that could be done, there was one more mission left for me to complete at the Arachnid Island, and that mission was Operation Black Widow. Unfortunately, there was one major obstacle standing between us and our objectives for Day 7. You see, the aforementioned race's server moderator, Whiscash, wasn't just at the Arachnid base for the purpose of investigating and meeting up with other COK members. He was also there, looking for blaze rods. And since word of our actions, curing the zombie villager, spread fast across the islands, he understood that whoever was responsible for curing the zombie villager was also in possession of blaze rods. And once he arrived at the Arachnid base and saw a large group of Undying surrounding the villager, he knew that one of us had to have the blaze rods. The thing is, he was there alone at the time, which means that attacking a large group of Undying with hopes that someone would drop blaze rods would be a pretty stupid idea. Therefore, he went with the safer option. He used his mod powers to access the server during its off time to see where the blaze spawner is and how to get there safely. Once he realized that the spawner was gone, he was quite perplexed by the fact, publicly asking the Undying in our Discord server about who did it and how it was even possible. He knew that whoever was responsible did it on purpose, and quite possibly was also the one who was holding all the blaze rods. To prevent the risk of the spawner being re-added to the fortress, Ultimate Demon contacted Whiscash explaining the whole story. Annoyed at the fact that he can no longer obtain blaze rods in an easy manner, Whiscash then went on and abused his moderator powers, checking the inventories of several members of the crypt to see which member had most of the blaze rods and which member was wearing what armor, to plan his targets ahead of time. Unfortunately for him, throughout all of this, he made one massive mistake, sharing with us the fact that he checked our inventories and threatening our members about targeting them and killing them. This was more than enough proof for the crypt to get Whiscash kicked out of the event, and upon contacting the event creator himself, IHasName's gave Whiscash a choice. Either he keeps playing but loses his role as a moderator, or he's out of the event for good. Choosing to go with the latter option to keep his role as a moderator, Whiscash decided to strike for one final time before he's out of the event for good. And upon the start of Day 7, Whiscash attacked and killed the villager that we cured at the Arachnid base, taking his revenge on the crypt, before logging off as a player for the last time.
Hello.
Hi everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
I gotta mute deafen myself. Oh shit, where's the Enderman? No. Where's the Enderman?
I killed him.
Bye bye, villager! See ya, I'm gone!
Bye, Wishcash.
It's night. It's night. It's night.
What Whiscash failed to realize was that the crypt could not care less for the villager at the Arachnid base any longer, as we had more pressing matters to attend to. Not only that, the villager simply refused to convert his trades to self-protection 4 books, so we kinda just gave up on the whole idea altogether. Instead, Day 7 was the day when the crypt would finally get built, but not before the successful completion of Operation Black Widow. The mission was pretty straightforward, robbing the Arachnid loot stash and then torching the entire place. Thanks to the fact that I was able to spot Almighty and Tigrag down in the loot stash on Day 5, I knew exactly how to easily access it, even with their best efforts to hide it. Even though Almighty and Tigrag probably got their hands on the best loot in this loot stash, there were still some valuable items that would contribute greatly to the crypt's plans, such as gold, enchanted books, and most notably, carrots. To prevent anyone from the Arachnids from being able to get access to potions, I broke the chest which contained the potion stash along with the brewing stands, with the intent of making all items disappear within a few minutes of them being left unattended. And upon clearing the loot stash of all valuables, I proceeded to torch the lush cave which contained the loot stash. Operation Black Widow was successfully completed. In the meantime, Fluffy Sapphire and Ultimate Demon were scouting the westernmost part of the ocean between the Undying and Arachnid Islands, looking for a suitable place to call home. And once they agreed on a location, we decided to rendezvous there and begin the construction of the crypt. The remainder of Day 7 was spent on doing just that, building the crypt. While quite uneventful from our perspective, this did not mean that Day 7 was not a significant day in our storyline. You see, while we were busy building our headquarters, the chaos on the Arachnid Island has not subdued, as the leader of Null, Killcard himself, decided to infiltrate the hidden Arachnid base and kill as many Arachnids as possible on his own. Getting Ayo to minimal health, Killcard decided to let him go, so that he can run back to his crew and gather the rest, so that Killcard can pick them off one by one, hiding in the walls. The one thing that he did not rely on is for the Arachnids to use minimaps that show where other players are. Easily spotting Killcard hiding, they ganged up on him and killed him where he stood. Upon seeing it happen, Almighty shared the coordinates of the group of Arachnids responsible for Killcard's death, since she was secretly part of COK as well. Being incredibly upset with Killcard's death, Null and COK joined forces and launched an attack on the Arachnid Island in retaliation for Killcard. Unfortunately for them, what they didn't know was that they were walking straight into an ambush. The Arachnids were smart and knew that vengeance for Killcard's death would be right around the corner, so they spent the rest of Day 7 preparing the perfect ambush, which COK walked right into. COK stood no chance, losing some of their most valuable members, with the remainder running for their lives, dazed and confused. With COK greatly weakened, I knew that in order to complete my mission and avenge UCOM from Season 1 by eliminating the remaining members of COK, I had to act quickly. Thanks to the Crypt's scheming and string pulling, we had eyes and ears in pretty much every group on the server, including the internal, off-limits COK planning chamber. We knew exactly what everyone would be up to on the server, since Day 8 was a deciding day for all races and all alliances. And with a slight interference, we knew that we could sway everyone's plans to work in our favor. Our goals for Day 8 were very straightforward: getting fully stacked and aiding in the elimination of COK so that we can peacefully retire on Zen Island, partnering up with Zen Hortons to create Crypt Coffee, fulfilling our destiny of becoming the server's potion traders. Fresh off of a successful ambush on COK, the group of Arachnids that the Crypt were secretly helping were feeling very good about themselves, still on the hunt for the remaining members of COK that were able to escape the death trap. The Crypt needed resources to get stacked, especially enchanted books. While NC Archie and Hikaru were taking care of curse books, we were still in need of other enchantments to better our gear. And so, I struck up one final deal with Ayo. In exchange for Spider Eyes and Protection books, I would provide the internal plans of COK with a list of the remaining COK members and their whereabouts. Information which he will then take to his superior, Roosters for Days, also known as procrastination, thus allowing us to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, getting the Crypt fully stacked and eliminating COK for good. Upon a successful meeting with the Arachnids, I returned to our base where we would all meet up and help each other get fully stacked, sharing gear, materials, and enchantments amongst ourselves. And while doing so, we received some very pleasant news.
I have good news.
Oh.
I have very good news.
Oh.
Poison King is dead.
Ooh. What about Bloodborne?
Yes.
Procras's and Ayo's group were able to hunt down and kill Poison King, leaving only 1 target remaining. Unfortunately, the books that I brought from the Arachnid Island were not enough for all of us. Luckily, Ultimate Demon had enough levels to enchant his armor to the fullest, and all that he needed to do was make a short trip to the enchantment room at the main Undying base. The thing is, something big was brewing at the main Undying base. The Undying Council invited people from all races to come to the main Undying base to celebrate peace and unity and discuss future plans. Apparently, the Undying Council was secretly allied with procrastination and were also in the hunt for the remaining members of COK, including Bean, Almighty, and all of her followers. This was an elaborate plan to lure everyone in with peace offerings, only to turn it into a complete massacre. Fortunately for the Crypt, I knew about this ahead of time, thanks to some insider intel. While I didn't know the specifics at the time, as in who is responsible and why it was happening, I knew for a fact that a big explosion is set to happen at the main Undying base, where there would be a great deal of casualties. Therefore, NC Archie and myself decided to accompany Ultimate Demon on his journey there, collecting more gear for the members of the Crypt that remained at our headquarters. But before we did that, I proposed we take a group photo to commemorate our journey, our achievements, our unity, and everlasting friendship, since this may very well be the final time that the Crypt is at the Crypt, with our journey taking us to Sector 0 beyond Day 8, the very middle of the entire map. This is where Zen spent the last few days constructing an artificial island as a symbol of peace and harmony, appropriately called Zen Island. A place where no wars shall be fought, and all conflict is outlawed. The perfect place for crypt coffee. The perfect place to call home. The Undying Island was getting swarmed by people of all races, completely oblivious and unaware of the fact that they may as well be walking towards imminent death. However, upon seeing both Almighty and Being there, I started to piece it all together, realizing exactly what's happening here and why. Knowing that the explosion is set to happen at any moment, I decided to leave the main Undying base and go back to the crypt's headquarters and wait out the massacre there, leaving COK's fate in the hands of the Undying Council. But not before setting off a block of TNT myself, in the middle of the entire crowd.
This is war because they have wronged the Arachnids so badly. Shit.
Whether it was to warn my friends from Null and other innocent bystanders by foreshadowing what's about to happen, or simply do a little bit of trolling, I'll leave it up to you to decide. As it was revealed later on, this trap set by the Undying Council took many days to complete, digging out almost an entire chunk deep enough to kill any other race that does not have the totem effect, as well as making enough TNT to blow up the entire meeting room constructed above the pit. While my shenanigans with the TNT may have put some people on high alert, the Undying Council were still able to gather most of the crowd in the meeting room. And once everyone was there, the TNT was set off. Multiple Arachnids died from fall damage, including Almighty. The remainder were left fighting for their lives as the Undying Council and Null jumped into the pit to finish them off. The Battle of the Pit claimed the lives of many, but it served its purpose, as the last remaining members of COK were now gone for good. At this moment in time is where I need to step in and break the fourth wall. If we go back to the very beginning of this video, the introduction mentioned which race will reign supreme and which civilization will rule over the world. This was the plan for the original story. However, this is a different kind of story. The original planned story was what IHasName's, the creator of this event, had wished would happen, which is exactly what all of you saw in his own video about this event. An altered, modified version of the real story, constructed through clever storytelling and editing. Up until the Battle of the Pit, IHasName's story was pretty accurate, at least according to my point of view, with some minor changes here and there. However, everything that happened after was more of a play on reality. A story derived from real events to support the narrative that the presenter wants to share. A narrative that tells a compelling story with definite bad guys and good guys. A narrative that is easy to absorb and suits most of the public. Unfortunately, I'm not here to give you that kind of narrative. I'm simply here to give you the truth. The real story. This is what actually happened. The events that transpired at the Undying Island on Day 8 have shaken the entire server to its core. In fear of a full-fledged war across all islands, and trust becoming a rare commodity, the majority of the Undying race, the Arachnid race, and the remainder of the Shroomite race made their way towards the only place where they could still feel safe, Zen Island. And with so many players seeking refuge at Zen Island, now was the perfect time and opportunity for the crypt to officially move there as well, supplying potions to those who need them. Overwhelmed by the amount of people coming to him for help, Zen had to do something in order to comfort his new residents, as well as maintain the status quo of his island, making sure that whatever wars break out on the other islands, they shall not disturb the peace and harmony of Zen Island. And so, before the start of Day 9, Zen was able to establish peace amongst all races and all islands, protecting everyone who was at Zen Island at the time, with peace treaties being signed between all races off-server. The thing is, before Day 9, we received word from some of the server admins, as well as IHasName himself, claiming that for this event, they wanted an ending that would be different from all the cliché endings of all Civilization events, where all factions just go into an all-out brawl. They wanted an ending of peace, where all races come together and live as one, creating a thriving and everlasting civilization. And with Zen's off-screen actions, this peace was achieved. With server-wide peace finally achieved, we were certain that Day 9 would be the final day of the event. Therefore, we did what any normal Minecraft player would do upon the ending of a Civilization event. We expanded Zen Island, did a little bit of trolling, and engaged in server-breaking activities.
If we all break the same one, it has to break, guys.
Yeah.
Although, throughout all of this, I kept having this thought in the back of my head that it was all too good to be true.
I don't know why, but I still do have a feeling that this is not going to end as peacefully as this is right now. I still have somewhat of a feeling that we will get attacked by somebody. Don't know, just a hunch.
Nevertheless, even though my suspicions would be proven right at the end of the day, many remember Day 9 for a different reason.
Oh no, there's no way. Wait, let's do it, guys. Go.
What's happening?
Davey, get up. Do you know, in the sky, do you know what that is?
Oh yeah, I know exactly what's happening.
Go.
Let's go.
Everyone, go.
I'm so confused. What's happening?
Let's go.
Go.
Who has blocks? Go.
I do.
I don't have block.
Hey, Demon, you wanna come with us to the portal room? Yeah, you wanna come with us to the portal room.
Did you just fall off? He literally just fell off.
No shot. Right, go.
Oh my god, I fell off too.
Yo, chill.
I can give you blocks.
Oh, yeah, can you give me blocks?
Jesus Christ, guys. Do multiple water.
Oh. Go.
That's what I said.
If I jump and you like punch me,
Nick, can you do it? Yeah.
Do we have rabbits foot? We can get a jump.
Does somebody have water?
Yeah, Nick.
On 3. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, yes! Yo! Teamwork.
I'm on the thing. It's okay.
No, move off it.
You don't. Why?
Give me a sec. Just give me a sec.
Morph! You genius! You ingenious!
Wait, what did he do? Oh my god!
He's ingenious! Someone go.
Oh my god!
No. Lux!
I'm up!
Let's go!
Alright, let's go!
You can do it.
Alright.
I missed, but I just used my ability.
Nice, Davey, nice.
Let's go!
I could get that.
Guys, we're ascending! We are ascending!
We're ascending, guys.
We're ascending, guys!
Oh god!
This right here is what most considered to be the real ending, despite everything that happened afterwards. This visual represents true unity between all races. This is where we all reached ascension. No matter what our differences were, we all put in a collaborative effort to climb the unreachable spawn box, focusing on the strengths of each race, and using them to help each other. The ascension of Day 9 will forever be remembered as the peak of any Minecraft civilization event, as the coming together of different races and different factions, with the Sky's the Limit achievement hammering home that exact fact.
Yo, this is honestly the perfect ending. Yo, I got a goal reach! Sky's the limit! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go!
I just got kicked for flying.
As much as most would like to consider the Ascension as the real ending of the event, as wholesome as it was, unfortunately, this was not the real ending. Ever since the Human Republic raid on Day 4, the members of the Republic that managed to escape the raid with their lives were secretly building an enormous skybase on the far corner of the human island. Still bitter at the raid from Day 4, the remaining members of the Human Republic blatantly disregarded the peace treaty and conspired with the group of Arachnids led by Procras and Ayo, also known as the Tarantulas. And while we were busy reaching Ascension, they were threatening to burn down Zen Hortons. Furious at the fact that someone would dare to disturb the peace and harmony of Zen Island, we all came forth to see what these threats were all about. Strangely, the Human Republic and the Tarantulas both retreated with no resistance, begging us to let them live. While this made all of us feel very powerful, our pride prevented us from seeing what was really happening, so we decided to continue to chase them and make fun of how weak they are.
There's some human blood I smell.
I smell.
I smell petty humans.
Just chasing them at this point.
Yeah, let's just keep going.
Keep going.
In reality, this was an ingenious plan by the Human Republic and the Tarantulas. They knew that if they decided to attack Zen Island, they would ultimately lose, due to our numbers advantage. Instead, they lured us away from Zen Island onto the Shroomite Island, where they prepared yet another ambush. None of us anticipated what would happen, and since there were only 5 minutes left until the server was shut down, none of us expected that anyone would break the peace treaty. While NC Archie and myself were able to escape the ambush, the Human Republic and the Tarantulas followed us back to Zen Island, where they proceeded to murder the rest of Null and the Crypt. Luckily, I was the only one fortunate enough to be able to escape with my life, knocking Procras down the skybase that we built while reaching Ascension, preventing him from trapping me and killing me. Knowing that I won't be as lucky next time, I decided to make my way to the only place where I knew I would be safe. The only place that nobody besides the Crypt knew existed. The only real home we ever had. Being the only member of both Null and the Crypt who lived to see Day 10, I knew that retaliation was not an option, as I would be standing alone against an entire army of humans and Arachnids. I knew that the only thing that I could do to honor my fallen friends is to give them the peaceful rest that they so rightfully deserve. And so, with the help of Hikaru, who somehow managed to barely make it out alive from the assault on Zen Island, we began the construction of the real crypt. From the very beginning of this story, both Null and the crypt were destined to be enemies, due to their conflicting values and alliances. However, both organizations shared a bond that tied them together, a bond that ultimately led to the downfall of both groups. That bond was me. Torn between two groups of friends with different goals and morals, I tried to satisfy both sides, but ended up losing everyone. And as I am building these graves, a question lingers on my mind. When I decided to side with the Tarantulas to act upon my own ambitions of eliminating COK, did I make a deal with the devil and bore the consequences? Or was I the devil himself this whole time? Whatever the answer may be, I was never destined to be the hero of this story. The real heroes are those who rest within the crypt. Those who believed in something greater. Those who believed in the idea of true peace and unity. Those who gave their lives for it. Destined enemies in life, united in death. This is the idea behind this crypt. This is what I am now sworn to protect for all eternity. This is my destiny. I am the Crypt Keeper, and this was my story. If you are interested in participating in similar civilization events such as this one, check out Realms on Discord. However, if you wish to write your own story, create history, and build a legacy that will live on for years and years to come, join our world-building server. Join LoreWorks. You can find the links to both servers in the description of this video. Thank you all so much for the tremendous support on this video. Thank you to IHasName for creating this event and allowing me to participate in it. And until we meet again, stay tuned.